What's new, crew? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Cassandra and today we are talking about eating the harvest. It's a what's for dinner video based on everything that's coming out of the garden. You're growing all of this food and the goal is to be more self-sufficient, to have more fresh things in your diet just based off things that you're growing around your home. And now it's time to actually put those things into a meal. So here are some meal ideas, things that we've been doing based off what is coming out of our garden right now. We're trying to actually integrate these things into meals instead of just having green beans as a side or broccoli as a side, which is all really great things and they're really easy. But these are some meal ideas where you can actually take some of those things, put them in your meals and have one really nice complete dish based off of what's coming out of the garden and things that you are just trying to eat fresh and not just preserve. So we're heading into our first meal, which is going to be a stromboli. Strombolis are a classic around here, and this is what I'm going to call a clean out the fridge stromboli. It was the end of the week. I really wanted to get some of the leftover meat out of the fridge that we had left over from the week and use up some of these little produce here. The baby accidentally pulled one of these very tiny bell peppers off of the plants. That's not an issue. I'm still going to use it, and it was actually perfect for this because I'm the only one that likes bell pepper in strombolis, so I was able to put the bell pepper just on the portion that I was going to eat, and I left the other half plain for the kids or my husband who are not as keen on bell peppers. I also had the opportunity to use up some leftover kielbasa from a sheet pan dinner that we did in a previous video, and I had a rotisserie chicken that the kids and I had picked up for a lunch that the kids wanted to do, and I just picked some of the chicken off of that rotisserie chicken, diced up the rest of the kielbasa, put my bell pepper on there, and then covered it in both mozzarella cheese and cheddar cheese. Like I said, trying to use up kind of whatever I had left in the fridge and throw it in this stromboli. After it has been topped with the appropriate amount of cheese, and by the appropriate amount of cheese, I mean measure with your heart. There's really no wrong amount of cheese here. I went ahead and braided this, and by doing this, I just take my dough cutter and, like you can see, slice little slits on either side of the stromboli. I take turns one side, pulling up the other side, and it creates this really easy braided pattern. I put that in the oven at 425, and then I will top it with butter, Parmesan cheese, oregano, garlic, salt, kind of whatever you like. And this is our leftover stromboli. For breakfast, I've been doing a lot of like egg and cheese waffles with leftover burger patties, some fresh sliced tomato, maybe a little bit more cheese, salt and pepper. This has been my breakfast almost every day over the last 2 weeks, and I'm loving it right now. We also have entered zucchini season. Unfortunately, I don't think my zucchini plants are going to produce very well this year. They were overrun by squash bugs, and it kind of happened overnight to the point where they were just destroyed. I had hints of squash bug problems earlier in the season, thought that I had taken care of it, and then they came back with a vengeance and totally annihilated my zucchini plants. So I don't think this is going to be the year for zucchini, unfortunately, but we're going to make the most of it while we have it. So we ended up making some banana zucchini chocolate chip muffins, and these are what the kids had for snacks for a couple days. They also used them as breakfast items or before bed snack items. We love muffins here. I will have as many recipes linked down below as I can. As usual, I found this one on Pinterest. It was very simple, very quick, and very easy. Getting into another dinner, I had to pick this cabbage from the garden because it had split and I wanted to get it used up. So I sliced about half of this cabbage and I boiled it and then put it with just some butter and some salt. I put the other half of this cabbage in the fridge, and I'm trying to do better at labeling my bags on when I harvested it. That way I have a little bit of better idea on how long it's been in the refrigerator. I also went ahead and pulled out some of this 5-pound budget cheese that my husband had bought in and sliced this up to put on top of some of our burger patties that we were doing. So I took some of those pre-cooked or pre-pressed burger patties that we had done in a previous video prepping for summer. I put those in my cast iron skillet with a jar of our home canned spaghetti sauce, and I put that in the oven at 425 for about 35-40 minutes or so. Then I put these chunks of sliced cheese on top, put them back in the oven for about another 5-10 minutes or so until the cheese was melted, and then I pulled it out, and that's what we had for dinner. The kids ate their burger patties over some leftover pasta that I had in the fridge, and I ate mine over some cabbage. I recently have been doing a little bit of a carnivore inspired diet, which is just where you eat meat, salt, water, things like that. And I'm doing my own version of it. I'm just really trying to stay away from as many carbs as I can unless I make them homemade in-house. I was having a lot of gut issues, feeling very bloated, very uncomfortable, very tired, and just decided that I was going to give this carnivore thing a try for a week, and I realized how much better I felt instantly. So at least for right now, I'm trying to stay away from processed things, store-bought carbs, and I'm limiting my carbs, still eating them here or there. Every couple meals or so, I'll have a little bit of a carb, but I'm just making sure that I'm eating them in-house. Like you'll see later in this video, I make some homemade tortillas. I did eat those. Another meal that we did to use up some of our garden produce was a pulled pork taco. I've made this recipe before with you guys. I will link it down below. Love this recipe. It called for a garden onion, 2 garden tomatoes, and a garden bell pepper. We put this in the crock pot with a little bit of taco seasoning. You can do cumin, chili powder, whatever you have. I did taco seasoning just to keep it simple this day. A little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of water, and I just turned that on low for 8 hours and let it go. Once that was almost done, I went ahead and made some fresh tortillas, which we have realized we very much prefer over our store-bought tortillas. However, convenience does take over at some point. Eventually, I would love to do a freezer day and make some tortillas and freeze them. I've never done that before, so I would have to do a small batch just to test it out first. But we're gonna see how that goes. Maybe that is in our future at some point. But we went ahead and got our tortillas made. These are very simple and very easy. Once again, I found this recipe on Pinterest. I will link this down below for you if you are interested in making some fresh tortillas. So favorite way to use up garden produce is in soups. So I kind of just pulled everything out of the fridge that I had over the last couple of days before I was going to kind of get ready to put it in the freezer. So I had green beans, some broccoli, some carrots that I had thinned, and this cabbage. I also had some onions. So we went ahead and got all of those things kind of prepped, chopped up, peeled, whatever needed to happen, and got them into my Dutch oven. I put that on the stove with a little bit of oil, salt, and pepper, and just let that go. We're going to add in some chicken stock, 2 chicken breasts, and I made homemade dumplings. To make my homemade dumplings, I don't have any measurements because my grandma taught me how to do it, so it's very grandma measurements. It's some milk, about 3 eggs, some flour, and some seasonings. You mix it together, plop them in boiling water. Once the dumplings float in the boiling water, they're ready to go. I scoop them out and put them in our soup. You can see here we also made 2 loaves of bread this day as well, and this was kind of our last and final meal for cooking out of the garden.